Hi, it's Bobby from Fifth Avenue Cakes, and I'm here to show you some cross stitching on cupcakes. I chose to do butterflies because we're entering into the summer season and I love butterflies. So I will show you how I put this together. Well, welcome back. I've already prepared a grid on my cupcake. If you have not seen my Royal Icing cross stitch cookie tutorial, it will show you exactly how to make your square grid. So you'll need to prepare your grid and you can start piping your design the minute your grid is finished. I have made a design of different types of butterflies for you to follow, and they're numbered on top as well as down the side, so they're easy to follow no matter which of the 6 designs you choose. You'll need a scriber, an artist brush. This is a 5-0, a small cup of water in case you need to do anything to fix your royal icing. And then for my 2 colors, I picked lavender and vine green. And the vine green is going to be my caterpillar section. And then the only other thing you really will need to make the little antennas, these are stamens, and I have petal dusted them in black, and I'll show you how those are used, and we sell them in our store if you're interested. So I have already pre-counted my grid, and we're 22 across and 22 up, so that would make my center 11. So you're going to want to count up to 11. The easiest way to do this is to make the beginning of your little caterpillar, make 1 green bead in the center there. And then don't worry about that till we come back after we've put on the wings. But that makes it easier for you to follow the pattern as you go. And you can go ahead and put a pin in your parchment cone because there's no tip and you won't endanger anything. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do the wings. There is counting involved, just like it is for cross stitching, and that is given on the pattern. But I'm going to go ahead and show you how we developed the wings. It looks like my purple is having a little bit of problems. So we'll just pat that on down. You want to work with a bead consistency, and I had this pre-made already. Let me just get out some of this. There we go. Before you start, if you've already pre-made your bead consistency, and I find working between a 10-second and 15-second works perfect for these grids. I have a tutorial explaining exactly how to get to the consistencies if you want to look at that. And I will be looking at my pattern to make sure I know what I'm doing. If I'm quiet, it's just because I'm counting. I'll be working from the center down and then the center up. The reason I like to work with parchment paper cones is I can get into that grid without worrying about breaking my grid. I like to work with one side and then move to the other. We're going to go to the next row. This is one of those things, like with most royal icing, you want to have time to be able to do it. You don't want to be answering the phone. Okay, for my second row, I've come down 4. I'm going to skip the center and place 1 above the center. And then I'm going to skip 1 and do 2. And it's important to count or to follow a pattern because it's easy to get lost in these grids because you are so close. So now we're going to go to row 3. We're going to do the center in row 3. So here's my center. Place a dot. You want your dots to be pretty much the same size as all your other dots. You're going to skip 1 and come down 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's the bottom part of that one. Then I'm going to skip 1 and place 1 above the one I skipped. I'm going to skip 1 again and do 2. So I'll skip that one, I'll do 2, and I'll have my wing come up 1 higher than the previous row. For row 4, I'm also going to do the center. I'm going to do 1 under my center. And as I'm talking to you, I'm also looking at my pattern. I'm going to skip 1 and come down 4. And then for the upper portion, I'm going to go back to the center and add 3 more. So I went up 3, now I'm going to skip 1 and do 1. For row 5, I will now skip my center again and do 2 underneath the center that I've left open. I will skip 1 and do 1. And then I will skip the center and place 4 more beads. Now for row 6, I'm going to skip the center. I'm also going to skip right below the center. And I'm going to do 2. I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. I'm going to skip my center, skip 1, and do 2. And that will be the first half of my wing. I will come over to the other side. I will now place a bead in the center, and I will come down 3. I will then come to the center again and go up 3. My eyeballs are giving out on me here. If you start seeing double, walk away for a few minutes and come back. This is probably the 10th one I've done today, so I'm like, my eyes are going nuts. Alright, so we're going to skip the center, and then we're going to come down 4. I think I've mentioned this before, sometimes you have to come back. I'm going to skip my center, skip 1, and go up 2. I'm going to skip my center, place 1, skip 1 and go up 2. I'm going to do my center now. And that little bead needs to move over into the grid just a little bit. So I'm going to nudge it over with a lightened, damp brush to get it right in there so it looks clean and neat. And then I'm going to skip 1 and come down 4. I don't mean to get quiet, I'm just counting. Sometimes if you pull yourself away and look at your pattern, you'll start seeing it a little bit better than when you're right on top of it. Now we're going to do the top part. I'm going to skip 1 and place 1. And then I'm going to skip 1 again and do 2. The idea is if you think you're lost, look at your other side. I'm going to do my center again for row 4. Try and keep your tip as clean as possible. I'm going to do 1, and then I'm going to skip 1, and come down 4. And then I'm going to go up 3 from my center. And I'm going to skip 1 and do 1. For row 5, I'm going to skip my center and come down 2. And then I'm going to skip 1 and do 1. And then I'm going to go up 4 from skipping my center. At this point, I'm going to look and make sure that my grid is filled and I'm matching. And I will do row 6, which I am skipping my center. I am skipping 1 from the center, and then I'm doing 2. And on this side, it takes me just a second. And then I will do the exact same thing on the top. So I'll go back to the center. I will not place 1 in the center. I'll skip 1 and do 2. And that's the wings. You should see that they look exactly the same on both sides. And now we're going to go in and do the center of the butterfly, or the caterpillar. I think it's actually called something else, but I'm calling it a caterpillar. I found what looked best was to come down 3. In the graph that you'll be given, it's blank, so you can do whatever you choose. And then I came up 2. My green's having a little bit of issues, so I'm going to poke some out of there. Now I have just enough time. I want to make sure that my grid is completely covered in this center point. I have just enough time to cut my stamen and stick it in. If you find that your royal icing is giving you a little bit of hassle, you can add a tad more to the end of your stamen, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. So you're going to take some fine, these are actually embroidery scissors, just some small scissors. Hold your stamen so that you don't lose your little bead. You don't need that piece of paper. And then just stick it in to that top bead of your butterfly, however you want them to stand. Once the royal icing dries, it'll be in there forever. At this point, I chose to decorate lace on the outside of mine. And I just realized I did not show you these little squares, so I'm going to show you that real quick. So you're going to go back with your green, and this is a really easy thing. You're going to come from the corner, you're going to count up 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to make just a tad of a mark so I know where I'm going. And then you're going to make a green bead, and you're going to come over to the end of your square. And you're going to do the exact same thing coming down. And then I counted up 2 and put a bead in the center. You will do that on all 4 corners to match. And then, like I said, you can add whatever decorative type of royal icing you want for the outside of yours. I chose to go with just this lacy pattern because I like it. But whatever you like to do, I'm sure will look wonderful. So thank you for joining me for this cross-stitch cupcake tutorial, and I'll see you on the next tutorial.